Hello, welcome back to Single Mom on a Farm. This is question and answer video number 15. I am so grateful for whoever suggested I do question and answer videos because these have been fantastic. I've just loved doing them. So thank you for whoever suggested it. It was the best suggestion. Okay, first question. How long do your children do quiet time for? And how would you suggest this for when multiple children are sharing rooms? I find they end up playing together, so it's not quiet or contemplative. We do quiet time for about 1 hour. And yes, we usually share rooms too. So when I first started this, we had the 2-bedroom house, 700 square feet, and I would take a nap in one bedroom because my husband stayed up really late and babies wake up really early, and I was always pregnant and tired. And the babies would nap in the other bedroom. And so the older kids would sit on the couch in the living room, and I would just give them like one on like the 2-person couch and 2 kids on the 3-person couch. And they would just have to sit there, and they had a pile of books next to them, and they had Magnadoodles. I think we had like 2 Magnadoodles between the 3 of them, and they were allowed to do that, either Magnadoodle or read books. I might have sometimes done like paper and pencils, but their instruction was just to be quiet. And if they started talking to one another, if I heard any talking, I started the timer over again. So I would either look at the clock and tell them, it's 1 o'clock and do not talk until 2 o'clock, or I could set a real timer. But most of the time I just had them look at the clock because sometimes they just went way over it. So if you need to start with 20 or 30 minutes at first, just see if they can do that, and just tell them I'm starting the clock over again. So now I usually didn't do a timer just because telling the time is really good for kids. So I would just say, okay, when it's 1:15, and when the big hand is on the 9, then you guys can get up. So they could just watch the clock if they wanted to. But I would just start it over again. Okay, somebody talked, so now we're all starting over. And that worked. It just took a couple of days before they were trained. They just knew that they needed that quiet time. And I would explain to them the reasons why. I was like, I know we're all playing great right now, but usually by 3 and 4 o'clock, we are grouchy together. So we need some quiet time. And I just called it personal time too. I was like, you can do anything you want just as a person. So you can just draw or read or anything quiet. And as we've gotten a bigger house, or in Utah, is the only place we had a big house, then I would let them go anywhere, like in the living room or whatever. And the baby and the toddler would just be in their bedroom. And I think they could be in their own bedroom, but most of the time they just have always hung out in the living room, but they were allowed to get a snack or, walk around a little bit, but they mostly just sat there and read. And it was still just personal time. So they could do anything by themselves. And sometimes now, I'll have be quiet time. And other times I just call it personal time. That means you can play the piano. You can do Duolingo on a device. You can do, art and drawing, and you can play outside or whatever. I just need no talking. I need to go do a video or edit a video. I just need to know that no one's interacting and no one's going to be fighting or playing and then turning into fighting. So I just feel like everyone kind of needs that personal time, even if they're playing outside by themselves, to think, get their own inspiration, just kind of a reset. So that's how I do it. Hopefully that answers your question. But if you have any more, then just shoot me an email because I love the little kid parenting questions. Okay, the next question is, can you do a video on how you picked your names for your kids? I've never heard of your youngest name before. It's beautiful. Well, thanks. So there's not too much stories behind most of the kids' names. Kylie, I just really liked her name. I don't know, it just must have popped in my head one time. But I do remember I was working at a restaurant on campus, and a student came through and slid her ID, and her name was Kylie. And I was like, oh, I love that name. And she was really cute. So I thought, okay, that'd be great because now I know one cute Kylie. And then Madeline, I think I've just always loved that name too, and we just settled on it. Spencer, I'm trying to remember, I think I just always loved that name since I was a kid. I remember one of my friends in middle school had a little brother named Spencer, and she always talked really highly of him. They were best friends. And I loved that somebody could be so nice to their brother and speak so highly of him. I also liked that it was a modern prophet's name, Spencer W. Kimball. I thought it was cool when people named their kids after prophets, either Bible or Book of Mormon or modern day prophets. So I just really like the name Spencer. Alexis, I think I just always liked that name too, or at least when we were thinking of naming Alexis, I don't think there's any special connection. Then Thomas, I did really like the name Thomas very much. I think I was really liking David or McKay or a few other names, but the name just kind of popped into my head. I remember being in the bathroom one day and I just thought his name should be Thomas James. And I thought, I'm not sure if I really like that though. but I considered it. And then when we were in the hospital after I gave birth to him, then my sister called to congratulate me. And this is Lori. And she told me that an apostle of our church, James E. Faust, had just passed away. And I thought, wow, really? That's cool. And again, I kind of just felt like the Spirit wash over me a little bit. And I thought, because I kept thinking I should name him Thomas James. And so now that makes sense that I can name him Thomas after a prophet, Thomas S. Monson, and then James after this apostle, James E. Faust. So his name is Thomas James, and now I love it. Then our next baby, I decided to name her Julianne after my best friend. I felt good about that, like the whole pregnancy. And then when she was stillborn, then we decided to go ahead and still name her Julianne. And I thought that was pretty cool because then after that, we thought of naming the next 5 kids after the first 5 kids. And so I'm kind of glad that we had the name Julianne, so that we hadn't had that idea yet until after she passed away. So the first kids start with a K, M, S, A, and T. And then the next kids start with K, M, S, A, and T. So it definitely helped us narrow down our options because for the 6th child, we could just come up with a K name. So we thought of a whole bunch of them and we just settled on Caitlin. I think Nathan liked that one the best and I like it too. Then for M, it's going to be for McKenna. I'm trying to think of other names. I really liked Mick names, but Nathan didn't, and he thought Mick meant son of. And so, obviously we don't want a Mick for a girl, so we named her McKenna. It was how we spell it. But I think I thought of other ones. Like I'd always liked Mackenzie and McKay and McAllister, I think, because of the Home Alone family. So I think I just always liked Mick names, and I knew a few Micks that were really cute. So we named her McKenna, and then S, Samuel, we thought would be great because it's a good Bible prophet name that could go with Spencer. Then Anderson, we thought would be a girl because Alexis is a girl. So we were thinking of like Abigail or Alyssa or a few other A names like that. So A was a little bit hard to come up with. All I could think of was like Abraham and Adam and a few names from the Bible that I didn't really want. But then we thought of Anderson for Neil L. Anderson as another apostle of our church because I kind of liked doing the modern day prophets a little bit. So we named him Anderson. And then Talia, we needed to come up with a T name. And first we thought she was going to be a boy, so we would name her Timothy to go with Thomas. We thought that was kind of cute. It could be Tommy and Timmy. So we had that kind of settled, but then she was a girl. So we're trying to think of some good T names. And girl T names were kind of hard. We thought Tiffany, just a few that we didn't really feel like that would be right. But then we had heard of a girl in one of our churches when we lived in North Carolina that was named Talia, and she went by Tilly a lot. And so that was just the name that kind of stuck. I thought, I just really feel like her name should be Talia Jane, and that would go with Thomas James. So I just really liked it, and it just felt really good. I was coming home from the temple one day and had prayed about it and just felt like that was the right name for her. So that's how we came up with her name. So if you're thinking of names, then I guess pray about it. We look at baby lists. We used to have like a piece of paper on the wall in the bathroom and we would list all the names. I remember doing this for Anderson and Talia, just listing a whole bunch of like maybe 30 of our top girl T names and boy T names. And we put it on the bathroom wall and kids would initial which ones they liked. So we still have them in our scrapbook of who likes which name, and they'd circle it or star it or write their initial by it. So it's kind of a fun way to pick names, and then we would just keep having, little family meetings and discussions in the car or wherever, talking about the names. Okay, well, our next question is, where did all your wonderful quilts come from? Can you talk about these? Sure, that's great. Several people have mentioned that they love our quilts and they've noticed them in the videos. When Talia was born, I knew she was our last baby, and before getting rid of all of the baby clothes, I wanted to make a quilt with them, at least like one outfit from each child that they wore to be kind of special, and then on the back, just like a quilt of all these scraps of their baby clothes. So I saved them up and I had them ready for like 2 years, and then I finally asked my sister-in-law, Kira. So this is Nathan's brother is Seth, and his wife is Kira. She's just amazing. And she's an awesome quilter. So I'd asked her if she would help me make it, and she said sure. And then when it came time, so it was like fall of 2020, like I had the tubs of stuff, and I'm like, I have got to like make this quilt already. And this is when we were starting to get ready to move. And she said, well, do you want me to help you make it and like come to my house all the time, or do you want me to just make it for you? And I said, just make it for me because I was just too busy and I'm not a quilter, and she lives about an hour away. So I just brought her my tubs of stuff and she made me this fantastic quilt. Let me show it to you. Wait, before I show you my quilt, let me explain all the other quilts. So sometime in the fall, I dropped off the tubs of baby clothes for Kira to make me a quilt. And then about 12 days before Christmas, then we get a knock on our door and we open it and it is Seth and Kira and their 6 kids and they carol to us. And then they drop off like 11 big packages and they have numbers on them. So each day before Christmas, one child is to open a package from them and it is a quilt that Kira made for each one of them. She chose the colors and the design and everything. So they are fantastic and I'll show you a few of them in a minute. So that was really exciting for all the kids. They all got a warm, comfy quilt made by a loving aunt. We had just gotten divorced, and so maybe she had thought of that would be a great way to wrap themselves up in love. And it was just so sweet and so touching. And so obviously they cherish them. You've probably seen them in a lot of videos, especially all winter, because they are on their beds, each child, and then they pull them off in the morning and they take them downstairs and wrap up in them. And on the last day before Christmas was the one that I opened, and it was the quilt that she had made with all of the baby clothes on it. So let me show it to you. So this side has clips of all the clothes that they wore, all the different kids, the dresses and skirts and shirts and little rompers. This is my baby blanket when I was little. I think my mom made it for me. So good memories from all these clothes. And then the other side is really special. So it has an outfit from everybody. So this is a maternity shirt, and this is 2 outfits that Kylie wore, and 2 outfits that Madeline wore, and then 2 outfits that Spencer wore, and Alexis, and Thomas. And then this one is Julianne, and then Caitlin, and McKenna, Samuel, Anderson, and Talia. All the little outfits. So didn't she do a good job? It's a really special quilt. It has like a hanger up here if you ever wanted to hang it up, but this ceiling is too short. So someday I'll hang it up, but otherwise it is really thick and heavy. Sometimes I wear it when I do some of my videos because when it's really cold up here and I'm filming. And then Tilly will show you hers. So Tilly's has 4 different unicorns that are all really fancy. Fancy stitching.
And then this side is fuzzy and it has glow in the dark stuff.
Unicorns. Yeah. It is. It's fun that it glows in the dark, huh? And everyone has their own. It's really fun. Thanks for asking about the quilts. So they are a very special family and they've just done so much more for my family than I've ever done for them. I can never repay them, but they are just amazing. And now I think Kira is doing some professional quilting, because after that I was just like, Kira, you are so amazing. You've got to sell your quilts. I mean, you're so good at it. And so I think she has lately started like up a little business because she is just phenomenal. Okay, next question. Hi Marcy, I'm sure you have plenty to do already, but I would love to watch a YouTube video on your channel all about the different areas of your farm, what you do to use them or maintain them, how you and your kids are able to work them. I don't know if I'm even saying that right, but I read that you have 36 acres and I'm just like, whoa, how do you take care of that much land? Do you grow hay or other farm crops? Do you have to mow the large areas frequently? Do you let most of it grow wild? Do you have farm machinery and tractors? I only live on 1/3 of an acre in a residential neighborhood, and that is a lot for me to try to maintain the art on my own with just my kids helping me. I would love to see the different areas of your property and how you use or manage them, even the woods areas where maybe you and your kids play. Do you ever camp on your own land? Anyway, just some ideas and I wanted to ask you about. Take care. Great, thanks. So my property. So I do have a property tour video, but I'm going to do another one and add it to the end of this video. So if you've already seen it or don't care about anything that's changed, then you can stop the video after I'm finished with this. But I'll just answer these questions really quick and then I'll do the property tour video to show you, some of these areas. So let's see. Do you grow hay or other farm crops? Yes, we do grow hay. And we have our blueberry patch. Is about all for our farm crops besides like our garden and everything. Do you have to mow the large areas frequently? Yes, we do, about every week, but Caitlin is really good about doing that. The driveway is the biggest pain, and I'll show you that. It's a lot of work. Do you just let most of it grow wild? There's just a few areas that we're letting grow wild, or we kind of mow over them just a couple times a year. Do you have farm machinery and tractors? No, we don't have anything besides just our John Deere lawn tractor. I guess I don't really want any. I'm really bad about keeping up like cars or things like that. I don't know. When I got married, I was like, I'll do everything. I'll do all the yard work and all the housework and learn how to fix everything around the house. I just don't want to learn about cars. And so I've been kind of stubborn about that. So I'm afraid of getting tractors and I won't know how to fix them up. So I would rather either rent one or pay somebody else to come over and do things. Like that's just worth it to me than buying a tractor or learning how to maintain it. I would much rather just rent or borrow or ask someone to come over. So we do have somebody who bush hogs one area that we kind of let grow wild, some of the year, and he'll bush hog it. It's just a big tractor with a big plowish thing behind it, mower behind it. It just can mow over bushes. So he will do that, and I'm super happy to pay him so I don't have to keep up the tractors. But Anderson really does want tractors. So maybe when he's big enough, then I'll let him get one and do some things like that. So yeah, you live on a third of an acre, and that's a lot to maintain. And it's true because like when I was living on smaller areas too, it seemed like a lot to maintain, just the mowing and edging and trimming and keeping it all looking good for the neighborhood especially. But I kind of believe that God keeps expanding your capacity as you get more land. Like you're going from 2 kids to 3 kids, then you're thinking, there's no way I can take care of a third child here. But you do. God just expands your capabilities. So if you were to get more property, I know God would help you figure out how to do it. He just always does. And I know you'd keep up just perfectly and you do a great job. And I'll show you the areas where we play. Do you ever camp on your own land? Sometimes there is an area in the woods that is kind of a grassy area that the kids have camped down there before, but then it rained on them. So most of the time they've just camped in the yard closer here. And I don't think I might have slept outside just once. I would like to more. So maybe this fall I'll just sleep outside with them, like on the trampoline or in a tent or in the hammocks. The boys sleep in the hammock sometimes. A lot of times just all summer it rains. So fall is the better time to camp. And I just love going real camping, just in the woods completely so that I don't even have the housework to look at. I think that answers all your questions, and I'll go outside and take a video of the property in just a little bit. Okay, where does Kylie see herself in the next 5 years? Okay, I just did a video on that. So I asked her to send one, and so instead of putting it in the question and answer, she did that all by herself in a separate video. And last question. I love these videos you've been making lately. Could you possibly do one on if you've seen any of your ex-husband's traits in your children? If so, what did you do to deter those thoughts? Thanks. I think this refers to the scrupulosity video that I did. So no, I have never seen any scrupulous thoughts in my children at all. So I don't have an answer for what I did to deter those thoughts. Haven't seen any scrupulous tendencies in any of my kids. But if I ever do notice it, then I think I will just keep teaching that when we do something wrong or we do a sin of omission, like we don't do something that we think we should have, then we just repent and just move on. So like if I get to the cart and I'm unloading my groceries and I see that I didn't pay for something at the bottom of the cart, then I'll just I'll be right back, guys, and I'll take it in and pay for it and put it in the car and be done with it. Or if I see a homeless person and we don't help them and the light turns green and we go home, I don't keep talking about it or thinking about it. Because like Nathan used to do that, I still feel like I should have helped that homeless guy 3 days ago or whatever. I just teach the kids that we are doing the best we can, and we say sorry for things that we make mistakes of, and we just keep going. God loves effort. God loves progress. He doesn't want us to stay stuck in wondering if we're good enough, wondering if we should have done something different, feeling bad that we sped, feeling bad about everything. He just wants us to say sorry and move forward and keep doing better every single day. So that is mostly what I teach them. They all know what it's like to live with Nathan, and I think they're all trying not to have his traits, to put it bluntly. We've all been really open about talking about how difficult it was to live with him and how difficult he is to live with his own conscience and how that can hinder our potential and what we're supposed to be doing here on earth. They all see that. They all know why he's in mental hospital. They all don't want to live like that. So I think if they did have any tendencies or negative traits that they see in their dad, that they would, fix it right away and not let it get so severe. But I'm also open and say really good things about Nathan and his family. So he is super talented with music. He was super smart, never had to study for anything. So I also praise those traits. I'm like, oh, you're like your dad about this, your dad about that, because he was a really good guy and he had a big heart. He always wanted to help other people. And he did want to be super honest and do the right things. And so took it to an extreme, but I do praise those good traits about him. We're really close with his extended family, so I feel like that's not an issue either of anybody feeling like they're gonna end up like their dad, because they know, it was just kind of a fluke thing. There's so many other awesome people in my family and his family. I think that's all for the questions this time. So thank you so much. Keep sending them. I'm happy to keep answering them. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye-bye. Now let's go outside and I'll show you the different areas of property and how we use them for those who are interested. On this side of the house, we got a lot of grass. This is where we usually play soccer as a family. And yes, it is a lot of mowing. Caitlin is really good about it. She just loves listening to audiobooks and keeping it mowed for us. Here are the blueberry bushes that are by the house. They're about done producing, but we got another week or so. Here are the grapes. And we got another row of grapes behind the house. Here's our garden area and pumpkin patch. And we have kiwi down there. This area we do kind of let grow wild a little bit. Maybe we'll just mow it once or twice a year, but look how fast. If we don't mow it, probably haven't mowed it since early June. Then we already get these locusts growing just by not mowing much. So if we didn't mow it all, by next year, it would just be full of wild trees and plants and things like that. So we just mow it a couple times a summer. Looks like we got a tree down here that happened like a month ago and I still haven't gotten to it. Here's an old apple tree and we have a few more apple trees. And then the rest of the yard we mow every week. Here are the fig trees up here by this here shed. It's our storage shed where we keep suitcases and holiday decorations, the dehydrator, extra mattresses and things like that. This is the mud kitchen area, and we got some obstacle course stuff that Thomas is building, and we're going to put it together somehow. Balance beam and the trampoline, and this is a pizza oven that we need to finish assembling. And yes, lots of grass to mow over here, but again, Caitlin loves to mow, so she keeps it mowed for us and looking pretty nice. It's almost always wet and thick this time of year, but she still tries to keep it under control. Behind the house, we have this cherry tree and some more grapes and a lot of herbs and wildflowers. And then near the woods, you said you wanted to see where we play in the woods, so I'll go show you down there. This is one of the creeks that we like to play in here. We made this bridge for it years ago. This is another place we like to play. It's really cool because it looks like the water is just coming right out of the ground right there. And a little spring. That's fun. It's not as fun to play late summer like this because of all the vegetation. It's just overgrown. So we mostly play in it fall and winter and spring to early summer. It's maybe July. Maybe July 1st, but we don't play as much all of July and August because there's so much growth everywhere. This is a really cool cave area right here. It's also kind of fun to play in. That's cool. I think McKenna and Samuel have been playing down here lately. But for me, I don't come often when it's overgrown like this. And look, there's a tiny snake. Yes, they have been playing back here because there is the hoe and the pickaxe that we've been missing. So this is just a great big bank. Lots and lots of ferns. Some more just kind of swampy areas. There's a lot of water in here. It's just kind of swampy with all the growth. Here we come to another creek and bridge. which I love. But again, it's just so overgrown right now, this time of year, that it's not as fun to play in and hike in. And like the rest of the winter, none of this is here. So you can just traipse through pretty much on dirt. So all of this grass dies in the winter. Here's what it's like hiking through here. So it's pretty fun. Had a lot of storm damage from the hurricane since we've moved here, and I haven't had time to clean it up, but it's still fun. And there are lots of acres of woods, so it would be impossible to keep it all clean anyway. But we still have fun playing in here. I am now crossing one last little stream. I think the kids named this one Minuet because it was so tiny. Here's one of the trees that fell down in the hurricane last year. It's just right over the creek down there. The woods are full of rhododendrons, which I love. And they're not blooming right now, but they're really pretty. This was at one time the boys' fridge. They had lined it with rocks, dug this hole, lined it with rocks, and then put their food in and would cover it with rocks or sticks or something to keep their food cold. It's kind of clever. It's kind of full of leaves now. And this is where we come out of the woods. I can spend an hour or two showing you the woods and all of our trails in there and all the places that we play. But I'll move on to other parts of the property. Across from the barn here is the pig pasture. We call it the pig pasture because one time some friends were trying to give us their pigs before they moved. And we were excited to get them, but we didn't get it fenced in fast enough. So if you go down in the woods there are some more creeks and like one creek and one like big mud puddle area would be perfect for pigs just to lay around in. So I usually mow this twice, like June and then October, so that it's just ready for the winter so we don't have to mess with it all winter and it looks nice. But Caitlin loves mowing, so she's been keeping it up. Maybe like every other week or every 3 weeks. She's been mowing it just to keep it from getting overgrown. See, there's like a bunch of wild blackberries over there. This whole field would turn into that if we let it. And those thorn trees and the locusts and all kinds of stuff. There's a little chicken over there. We got the ducks just enjoying sitting right here by a puddle. Oh, I didn't mean to disturb you. Just coming over here to show you Maisie's pasture. So this is where we kept Maisie. It's got a fence that we can close here, and it was an electric fence. Even though we didn't even need to turn it on, she just stayed here. So this is where we milked her before she died. And then she can go all the way up to Blueberry Hill. And so she had a lot of grass that she could eat. Caitlin also keeps this really mowed down nice. And if I had extra time, because I do love yard work, I would like trim around the edges here. Like I would just trim that up to look nice. Or plant something there, that'd be nice. There's a liriope, it's nice. This pasture here, we do have someone mow for hay. We don't get paid for it, they just get to keep the hay. But they do keep it mowed down for us, usually the middle of May and the middle of August. So it's about time for them to come mow and bale it again. Mowing the driveway is a huge job. It's really hard to keep that mowed. Sometimes I am tempted to just not mow it. Like you asked if we just let things grow wild, because it's hard to keep it mowed on both sides, and there's some pretty steep parts. But Thomas and Caitlin have been doing it this year. Most of the time it's me and Thomas. And then this pasture looks awful right now, so we have just let it grow wild, but I will bush hog it, or have a neighbor bush hog it, I mean. And I'll have to pay him for it. But I like it mowed down like in September, so that it's like looks really nice again until May. So really only May, June, and July and August are the months that it looks this bad. And then up there are the blueberries, all the blueberry bushes up there. Our driveway is a lot of work. You can see that all the rain has like made that part really dip down like that, very crooked. Lots of little rivers going through it. And you can see up on the right hand side, like the original gravel. It's getting all washed away. So it is a lot of work to maintain, but it's worth it to live back off the road. Here, I don't know if you can tell in the camera that the side is pretty steep. I'm going to jump over this ditch here. It's really steep, so it's really hard to push mow. But that's what we do. We had planted some pampas grass last year and it did great. And then when spring came this year, they never did anything because I thought if I had a huge pampas grass right here, I wouldn't have to mow. They could eventually touch each other. But yep, a lot of work. Lots and lots of work for 36 acres. Here's another big stretch where you can see a lot of push mowing back and forth and then trimming all the spots you missed, like with the trimmer on both sides of the road. But again, it's worth it for us. Hopefully your piece of property is good for you, and if you're looking to get bigger, then go ahead and do it if you feel good about it. This was more of Maisie's pasture up here. Caitlin has kind of mowed it with the mower a little bit, and she's made a trail in the middle for us to walk up to Blueberry Hill. And last is our blueberry patch. All of this is so tall. Like when you see us come up here in vlogs in the winter to work, it will not look like this. None of this will be here. It all dies down. So this is just how much grew. And I last had it bush hogged in March, I believe. So that is just how much it's grown. And this is the trail that Caitlin is super good to mow for us. Again, all this side was bush hogged in March, and a little locust tree. It's taller than I am. Just crazy. When we had Maisie though, she kept it eaten down a lot better than this. But there were still some parts that were just enormous. So when it dies down, I'll get it bush hogged and it will look a lot better. But here are the rows. Again, you can definitely see the honey locusts that have been growing in the middle of the bushes. There's really pretty sunsets from up here though. It's just a beautiful night. Since I'm up here, I might as well pick. We are just about closed for the season. Usually have this all filled up with containers. And our sign, you can hardly read anymore. But let us see if we have any money in here. Woohoo, we do! Yay, people have been coming to pick today. Good. So we got a couple of 5s and some 1s. So alrighty. Good deal. Caitlin came up on the e-bike to help pick because it's our nightly ritual. So I'm just going to leave our money right there and take these and go pick some blueberries. So thanks for asking for the property tour. Hope you loved it. Hope you love your property too, and anyone else is inspired to be getting one soon. You find your dream property. I know it's out there somewhere. Thanks so much for all your questions. Keep them coming. Thanks for watching. Tell your friends and family who might be interested, and have a great day. Bye-bye.